Hi, I'm Michael Wargo, team pilot with Hobbyking, and today we are going to be doing the pilot's perspective video on this plane. It is the Kobuz. It is a very large sailplane. It's powered. So, unlike a traditional sailplane that is unpowered and needs to be towed, this gets up and flying with its own power. As far as this type of plane is concerned, I have a few things to say before we get started. And number one is, I really think anyone who's especially just learning or anything like that would really enjoy having something like this, because this plane just wants to stay aloft. The wings want to stay level. It's designed to just stay in the air regardless of how slow the plane is going. It's nice and large, it's very easy to see. And on top of everything else, it's probably the most relaxing flying experience you'll have. It's even easier and more relaxing than your trainer, because once it's up, it's just gliding. And you power it, everything happens a little slower, a little easier, and lands on its belly. You don't have to worry about, properly centering it on the runway or anything like that. They take a little getting used to because it is a little extra floaty. The airframe itself is very slippery, so it's a little harder to slow down, although it does have flaps. The only thing I'm not going to do today is get into any sort of primer on how to sail and how to soar. Soaring is a skill in itself that you should watch some videos on how to do it properly. If you want to use this plane in the capacity of a sailplane and a soaring plane, take it to altitude. We find the thermals. Down here it's pretty easy, especially in the summertime. In the afternoon, you'll see the buzzards. They're always circling up there, and you can find, of course, find the thermals all the time. And you just go up and see how long you can keep the thing aloft with no power. It's also a plane you could fly for 30 minutes if you're just tooling around with, not using the motor. So anyway, that's what this plane is about. I have a lot of fun tooling it around. It's got its own feel for aerobatics. The ailerons don't roll very fast, but there's still a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. We'll try and show you a little bit of everything. But anyway, today we're going to show you how to fly it. We're going to show you how to maiden it, show you how to launch it, and everything else you need to know. At this point, it's time to do the maiden flight. And for this aircraft, we're going to do what we always do. We're going to set it up to the manual. I'm going to give you my settings later.
Landing flaps. Takeoff flaps.
I'm going to set the flaps for this maiden to use what my machine here is saying are takeoff flaps, but those are the flaps for soaring and trying to stay aloft. They provide a little more lift. It's a really good idea for takeoff. On the maiden flight, this thing should, leave right from your hand, or you can throw it. All I recommend is that if you have someone with you, have them throw it. If you do not have anyone, do it yourself. Always use a strap, and what we're going to do is turn on the throttle. With this hand, just push it out fairly straight. Don't angle up. This is a sailplane, which means it's going to want to stay aloft. You could go with no power, just toss it like this, and it should go 20 feet or so before it hits the ground. We just want to make sure, because there could be an elevator issue or it could be something else like that. We want to start it with a little bit of power. So we're going to do that now. On the maiden flight, this thing should, leave right from your hand, or you can throw it. All I recommend is that if you have someone with you, have them throw it. If you do not have anyone, do it yourself. Always use a strap, and what we're going to do is turn on the throttle. With this hand, just push it out fairly straight. Don't angle up. This is a sailplane, which means it's going to want to stay aloft. You could go with no power, just toss it like this, and it should go 20 feet or so before it hits the ground. We just want to make sure, because you know there could be an elevator issue or it could be something else like that. We want to start it with a little bit of power. So we're going to do that now. Easy tip is to throw it over grass. So if it does hit the ground at all, you know it's a soft landing. Okay, again, toss towards the grass. There's zero wind out here, so it's not going to make much difference as far as wind direction, but if you ever are launching it yourself, if you can be into a nice headwind, it would be perfect. So we're going to spool up the motor just until it starts pulling, and then we're going to go. And up she goes. Easy as that.
Normal mode.
Now I took off the flaps. And we're going to trim it. Needs a little down elevator. All right. Looks like she's behaving. As you can see, this plane is just about flying itself. And that is the hallmark of a sailplane.
Time remaining 4 minutes.
See how just smooth and easy this thing is to fly. The wings want to stay level, and the plane is designed to go aloft, get some altitude, and cut the motor. So we're going to get a little altitude. I think this battery might not have been fully charged. Yeah, I've got very little battery left for some reason. I'm sure that's my fault. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to altitude. We're going to cut the motor.
Take off flaps.
And we're going to use the first flaps, and we're just going to fly it like a sailplane. Small, very deliberate circles, and see if we can keep the thing up in the air. We're downwind now, but you can see the plane is barely moving. Back more into the wind. Yeah, that noise is the ESC telling us that there is no more battery. So now we're on that first level of flaps, flying it exclusively like a sailplane. Now, time to land, we're going to put full flaps on to make sure we can slow the model down. And you can see it's going to want to stay aloft. It's going to want to float. And we're just going to bring it in slow. Again, get the motor going.
Time remaining 3 minutes.
Very easy to launch. All right. As you can see from this, the motor is pretty powerful. Much easier to get to a good altitude than with the dead battery. So ultimately what we're trying to do with a sailplane is to get up and try and find some thermals and just ride them. You know, this is a day where the wind is absolutely dead. Absolutely dead. The trick with a sailplane like this is to get the flaps set up properly so it's giving you a little more lift, but at the same time it's not providing drag and slowing you down. The flaps are definitely very useful, the full flaps, on landing. Now, like I said, you know, the plane has some abilities to be kind of aerobatic. For me, I just like to fly aerobatics with everything. You know, you can see how nicely it does a loop. The ailerons are, you know, there's a point roll. Ailerons are reasonably fast for this kind of plane. So this is, instead of just soaring, I mean, it's definitely a plane you could just rip it around. As always, it's completely up to you how you fly this airplane. But like I said, I think the thing I like the most about it, and the people I know who fly them seem to like, is the fact that it is completely relaxing. I've watched them just sit in a chair and look up and just tool it around and fly it around just like this. I mean, you could fly this thing for 30 minutes. Cut the power, fly around for a little bit. You're not using any of your battery at all. Just keep it aloft. Now, right now, I'm not losing any altitude really. You know, be very careful to not make big moves with the elevator or anything like that, because anything you do that is dramatic just slows the aircraft down. Now I'm coming back into the wind. You'll always lose a little altitude when you're with the wind. You got to drop the nose a little bit to make sure the plane's flying fast enough. But you can see how slow this thing can fly. It's very difficult to make mistakes with it from the standpoint of, you know, having the wings stall or anything like that.
Normal mode. 1 minute.
Here's something I like to do. Cut the power, come straight down, get some speed. This is all nothing but gravity. Power off, aerobatics, no power. Just using the speed and transferring that altitude into airspeed. Now there are some tricks to landing that are somewhat important. The first of which is to get full flaps on right away. Get this plane slowed down. It needs a longer approach than you think it does. Just because of the wings and the slippery airframe, it's going to want to stay aloft a long time. It's pretty hard to land it right in front of you. See how slow I'm going, but it's still going to be hard to drop it right in front of me. And just for spite, I'm going to. There you go. Still a little fast. But give it some room. You can't pull it down right in front of you, you know, just and skid in like this, because once you get to the bottom, it's just going to want to keep sailing. And the flaps aren't enough to just stop it like that. Okay, here are my rates. On my high rate, I have 100% and 25% expo. Mid, I have 70% and 10% expo. And on the low rates, I have 61 and 10%. For the elevator, I have 100% and 25% expo, 70% and 5%, 100% and 10% on low rates. For the rudder, I have 100% and 15% expo, 70% and 5% on my mid rate, and 100% and 10% on my low rate. For my flap system, I have, of course, baseline is at -100. Position 1 is -23 with -5% down elevator. And the other is 57% positive with -7% for down elevator. This is an aileron rudder mix. I did not use any on this model. I thought it was just fine, normal. Sometimes when you add a little rudder to the ailerons, it produces a much nicer turn. In this case, I just didn't think it needed it. As you rock the elevators back or ailerons back and forth, the rudder could cause a little drag. And because it didn't need it, I didn't use it. Most sailplanes, you would almost definitely mix aileron to rudder to help with turns. Well, to kind of recap, like I said, this is an aircraft that there's not a lot to it, not a lot of complications. This, the Pilot's Perspective series is to give you everything you need to know. And in this particular aircraft, there's really not that much. You'll see my rates. I set the rates fairly high to be able to get out of it as much as I want. Any aerobatics you might want to do or anything else like that, you really want as much rates as you can get. Be vigilant with your flap settings. Float, watch where they are, watch how it behaves, and then make small adjustments to your settings to make them ideal. I suggest you find a good primer on how to set up your sailplanes and all this type of things. It's a whole nother subject that we just aren't going to cover here today because this is a powered plane. But I think you'll enjoy it, and like I said, I think everybody should have something like this in their arsenal. It's something to just throw up, have fun. And one of the coolest parts about this is you could feel comfortable flying this anywhere. If you're flying in an area that is a little restricting or something like that, just tool it up, take it up. Relatively small field. All you have to do is gauge the little glide path at the end, which can be a little tricky, but that's the only moderately tricky thing about flying this plane. Very easy to fly. I personally really like the model. It's nice and big, very easy to see. That's another big advantage of this plane. So I hope you enjoy it.